3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of the Runs podcast with me, Gareth, and Nikki, who is in another hotel room.
Been moved, different hotel room, not as 70s porn star style.
Shame I can't say the same for your moustache. That's growing now. I think you're going to catch me with
Yeah, I
these.
need to shave, but I haven't had a chance the last 2 days. It's been fucking hectic, so I need to shave so it stands out more.
I was looking now, waiting for you to come on. I wasn't sure if I'd lost weight or my beard had grown, because you can't see my double chins as much. But I did have to put another hole in my belt today, so I reckon sickness from October has knocked me down a notch on the belt. Like,
Has helped do?
yeah.
Have you been out running or no?
Yeah, I have actually. First up, you're going to see I'm sporting a Swansea Vale snapback, courtesy of Mark Barrow. Tight bastard, only give us one cap over. I got a water bottle for you in my boot.
Yeah, you get the hat. You're the hat guy.
I know I need him, man. Look at that. Look at the distinct line.
Do you know what you should get? Have you seen the tattoo of the guys mowing the air?
Yeah.
You should get that.
I want to grow it all a bit and just go blonde like Gunther from Friends, but
That's not a good look, mate. That's not a good
it'd
look.
be all right. Sure. There's quite a popular at the moment, quite popular trend of you have your baldy, but then you have a fade in the back beard.
Who said that's a fucking trend?
Fucking TikTok, obviously.
Nice.
But yeah, I got this from our Racked Times The Runs takeover last Friday now. Friday just gone, down with call. Barrow give me some of these in exchange for some socks. Wheeling and dealing, innit?
Yeah, got to be done. That's a nice hat. I do like it. But
Yeah, it's good art, fair play. It's good quality. Bocco gear. It's got a lot. It's got the shacker on the back for there. And it's got where's my camera? But there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of work has gone into it. Not bad. Not bad at all. Repping every fucking club under the sun, yeah.
You're a bitch, you know, you don't care.
It was good though. You had so many people. It was a shame you couldn't make it.
It looked good, yeah. Loads down, eh?
Yeah, nice little sociable run. Shout out for everyone apart from Ikey from E3 who made it less sociable for me, fucking leaving me in the dust in the dark. But I got to get up to their speed now, haven't I? Fair play.
Yeah,
Well
you got dropped, and just left on your own in the dark.
Fucking thank God Ikey's laces kept coming in undone.
So you was the tail runner then, wasn't you? You was making sure everyone was safe.
Oh, they were. I couldn't tell if they were safe or not, but I couldn't see them.
Couldn't see anyone.
It was pitch black, to be fair. Especially when you get down to rest. We thought it would be lit up, but when you get up to rest bay and go into the junction and then down to the care home and turn around, it was pitch black.
Was it? Yeah, it's dark out there. It's dark even earlier up here, let me tell you.
I imagine, yeah. Really good crowd showed up. Shane Parsons rocked up because he's working towards running faster, obviously, because he's going to be running around with, I forget the weight, 80k, is it? 80k in his backpack for Newport Half. It was nice to see Shane meet him in person as well. Sound as fuck. Tom Mahoney was there. Arwell came through and a couple of other We Run Wales people. Will Morris, he was there. Had to twist his arm to buy some socks. I think he's tighter than cramp, but I think he did.
Did you? Is he tight than Steve all the way?
Oh, I don't know if he's tighter. It's triathletes, isn't it? They fucking spend all their money on their bikes. See?
Bikes and races. Idiots.
But it was good. 4 miles, felt alright, you know? And I was probably run faster than I should have as well, even though I was fucking right to the back, because, well, I just wanted to get back, I think. And then I went out again on, what day are we today?
Tuesday, recording.
Yeah, so it must have been Sunday I went out for a trot.
Yeah, you did, because you'd messaged me in the day. I was still in work when you met abusing Ken, saying, get out, Ken.
Yeah, Ken Bengsley. We were in our little WhatsApp group, and Ken was like, I'll go out now when my missus comes home and looks after the kids. And then by the time his missus come home and had the kids, he was watching fucking Newcastle, so he didn't bother going. So, shape up, Ken. I'm going.
One up on
You
him.
need to go.
One up on him.
Yeah, exactly. You boys are tapering now, aren't you? By the looks of Scott Gray's posts.
Yeah, there's a 3-week taper most of the boys do, and I'm still going to have a pretty 50 odd mile-ish week. It won't. It's probably because I've missed so much in this block. I'm going to just have a short 2-week taper. Like I'm gonna, after we've done this, I'm going to try and get a 10-12 miler in. I've got a biggish session tomorrow, and I'm going to join the session on Sunday to get about an 18-mile, maybe 20-mile long run in with a good portion of it in between at paces as well. So yeah, I'm going to have only a 2-week taper. Yeah, most of the boys will be tapering. I would normally 3-week if I hadn't had so much fucking problems in the build-up, but there we are. So I'm going to get another good week in. Because I had a decent week last week in the end. I had a good long, well, I wouldn't say it was a good long run Sunday. It was enjoyable, but I've got a couple of miles in Sunday and the week before, so it is what it is. Like I say, we were just saying before we come on, we still haven't heard if it's fucking going ahead or not, yeah?
No, because the correspondence I seen on this story was Spanish with no translation options, so I don't know what it said.
Like obviously I said last week, on the Monday we had an email saying they were going to decide this weekend, just gone, and they'd let us know Monday, but they still haven't. You know, what are we, end of Tuesday, and we still haven't. But like Scott put in one of the other groups, the Valencia group, pictures, I think it was off a Facebook group, of them sort of setting up the finish area.
Yeah.
Because it's a hell of a finish area. They've got to build a big platform down and over the water, so they said it takes them 2-3 weeks, so they've started that. So that sort of tells me surely they're erring on the side of saying yes, but it's nothing official.
No, perhaps it's like we're going ahead until we're not going to go ahead, really, kind of thing.
Yeah, but then you think of like, they said they were going to make a decision this weekend. Now why are they starting to set up this week without telling anyone? Surely they'd have told whoever's the company they use to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's an awkward one, isn't it? Like some of the boys are moaning and like we haven't been told yet, which I get. You know, they should tell us straight away because fucking obviously we got the bus. I've got to pay the bus this week, the rest of the apartment, and like things like that. Maybe if I don't pay, I can cancel. I won't get refunds once I pay. Yeah, once I've paid it, now I got to pay them all by Friday. I mean, once our flights were fucked either way. Yeah. But like the accommodation and bus, I think we can still get a refund up to Friday. But they've chased me this week already, reminding me of payment. So I need to know, like.
Yeah, I bet they.
So, yeah, they need to get their fingers out. I know it's a tough decision with everything that's gone on over there, but they need to like give people notice, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of running, I had a message of Sophie Cook. Speaking of running, like that's what we speak of all the time. Sophie Cook from Bilth Runners sent us a message.
Oh yeah, you did send me that.
In January, if anyone's interested, a nice flat 5k. It's called the Resolution Run 5k. It's in Bilth Welsh Showground. We'll share the link and everything. And Sophie said they need some more South Walians to come and see us up in the mid. I mean, it's quite far for a 5k, so if I'm not going to lie to you, especially at the speed I'm running 5ks. But if anyone wants to go and join them, I'll pop the link on the stories for you as well.
Yeah, get up there, anyone that's more local South Wales than us.
Yeah, because we are fucking, I'm west almost, basically.
Yeah, I'm probably, well, I'm from Bilth, good hour and a half.
Yeah, because I know the rugby, that's like the Celtic, when they were in the same league as Bilth, and that was the away weekend, that was every season. It would be a bus up to Bilth, hotel in Bilth, play the game and go on a piss and then come home the next day, or bus really late, like, and go on a Raza Bear and bus at 1 a.m. or something like. But if you can get up to Bilth and you want to go and see Sophie and the Bilth and District Running Club, be our guests. A couple of other things to touch on. The park run record went this weekend.
Yeah, the new fastest park run time in the world, 13:44 in Belfast.
Riggs.
Yeah, in Belfast.
19 years.
Yeah. I
Took
didn't
it
know
off
much
Andy
about
Butchart.
him. What's that?
Andy Butchart. Is it Andy Butchart? Is that what you say? He had previously.
He beat his record by 4 or 5 seconds. But yeah, I don't know much about this kid, Nick Grigg. I think I've seen obviously on the socials, Trackstar put it up, and I think maybe Mick Fox also put it up that he's a talent. So one to keep an eye out for then, because if he's running that quick at a park run, fuck me.
Absolutely. And another quick 5K, finally. Mr. YouTube, Mr. Matt Varan has dipped under.
He did.
Under
He was
what?
up in podium, the 10 years of podium Barrowford event on Saturday. He went up on his own. Obviously, him and his Mrs. Ellie went up, stayed overnight. They seen he was getting like good night kip in beforehand, and even though it was a night race, yeah, he was in. I think he was in the B race. Yeah, he was the one before the main guys.
B races, man. Get into the fucking A races, man. Come on.
Did you see the A race? Fuck me, I think you had to be sub 14:30. It was fucking ridiculous. People there. You had fucking Brownlee, Sessman, Ben Corner, and Meslick was second, Hendricks won it. There was like a flurry of people under 14 up there. Like Matt fucking was, no offence to him, he fucking run 14:57, but he was like mid-pack of his race. There was loads of them when I think the winners were around 14:30 and there was loads of them. It was crazy. I watched it on Insta Live, which was pretty shit coverage, to be honest. It wasn't best the podium. It's usually better than that, but yeah, I did catch him a couple of times on the laps, the 1K loops, and then just about caught him coming over the finish line and seen the clock, and yeah, it was landed for him. Yeah.
Fucking, I love Matt Varan's finish. It's just all throat, like
it's all arms swinging. He looks like he's it's just all out. Fair play to him. He puts it all in and drives that line. I don't know what it's a mad style.
But he's good. He's on now. He promised us an episode and he's done the time. So he's in season 2 and we'll get him in early January as well. Fantastic. Well done, Matthew Varan. Right, that's pretty much all we've got to cover because this week's guest has got a lot for us to go through. Hasn't he?
Yes, he's done, everything, as we're about to find out, from still running New York Marathon a week and a half ago to still competing on the track quick at the mile and 1500 to he was at the Welsh Cross then, not the Welsh Cross, the Cardiff Cross Saturday, commentating. I know. Does it all. Does everything. Got his own YouTube channel on a Monday circuit. Does everything. Coaches the boys.
He does. I was on his Power at 10. He coaches so many people.
Oh, it says on there we coaches there. Yeah,
it says we coaches as well. So, shall we see what he's been up to and get him in?
Yeah, let's have a chat.
Let's do it. Man. All right, boys and girls, this episode is supported by Racked. Are you looking to gear up your club with some custom high-quality kit? Whether it's socks, t-shirts, vests, tri-suits or bike apparel, Racked has got you covered. With Racked, you can create fully custom kit for your club, designed just the way you want them. The bespoke in-house design service allows you to bring your ideas to life. Whether you're a running club, a cycling club or a triathlon club. And it's not just about style either. Racked delivers high-performance gear, perfect for all your training and racing needs. Ready to get started? Drop them an email on info@racked.online and kick off your custom design today. Welcome back. We have indeed been joined by James Thie. James, thank you very much for giving us some time. Just so you know, you've got back from coaching out in the cold. How's it going? Everything all right?
Everything's great, guys. Thanks for having me. Yeah, John Butler and the boys say hello. It was a cold Kincoid campus tonight, but yeah, boys got the session done. I was just telling you off air that they often say, it'd be easy to be a coach, but no, it would have much easier been running tonight, a lot warmer.
John Butler still owes us an episode.
Yeah,
he does. But Dav Jones says he's coming on soon as well, so you got a treat with Dav. He's a top boy.
Yeah, Dav's on next week. Yeah, he was meant to be this week, but then because we got Lily on Friday as well, so I thought we'll just do a New York week this week, innit? Get you on, get Lily on.
Love that. Love that.
We'll get on to everything, but where did running start for you then? School and stuff? Was it always running in school or had the sports in school?
Yeah, I always tell the story that when I was at school, I played every sport possible. Super lucky that kind of towards the end of primary school and start of secondary school that I got first chance of kind of doing cross country and found that I had a little bit of a talent for it. And luckily, went and tried my local athletics club. But again, teachers that they'd take us for runs in lunchtimes around the local woods and stuff, which today, it'd sound dodgy if a teacher took you for a run around your woods. But to us, it was like, can you imagine back in the day where you could do stuff like that? and no one batted an eyelid regarding health and safety. And things like that. Was I was just lucky to get the opportunity to play lots of sports, because I always think that ultimately in the end, if you're going to be good or a little bit successful, that the sport picks you in the end. You can play lots of sports, which I did, but I kind of found that I love team sports. I love football, rugby, but in the end, I got scared of being tackled in rugby. Football, I wasn't the quickest. I'm not that dynamic. I'm not that quick off the mark. Whereas running just suited my personality. And again, very, very lucky that, a few stars aligned and a few people, and opportunities came my way. And it was probably around about the age of 15 where I kind of really started to specialize and then, started to train almost every day.
Oh, yeah. Good. Right. So then you leave school after that, really, and then it's been a love affair since then, I guess, is it?
Yeah, I mean, even when I was younger, I had the old glandular fever when I was 16, which knocked me out for about 6 months. I tore a ligament in my back that did about similar. So, it wasn't about setbacks. But I won my first national title at age 18, and that was the kind of, real kind of like lightning bolt moment where I realized actually, maybe I could push this a little bit further. So when I went to university, I remember being a bit odd, a bit different to others where, I went out and enjoyed myself, but I only allowed myself to do that after kind of like big races. And I remember a story I was telling someone not too long ago that it was the Christmas ball in my first year at uni. And I remember not going to it. I remember thinking I've got an important training session the next day. Everyone at the university in my first year were all dolled up in their, in their tuxedos. To me, I looking back now, I'd be like telling myself to go out and have a great time. But to me, I had to wake up Saturday morning, get a training session done, because I was thinking about, the next year. I was thinking about that summer. Looking back, I'm really proud of myself that was where my focus was at, because it was non-negotiable at the age of 18 or 19 that if I was going to make it, I had to keep my head down. And then I remember second year at uni, my mates being really jealous that I was jetting off to Hong Kong to run for Great Britain. And the penny dropped then that actually they would rather or sometimes wish that they could be really dedicated and maybe had a talent to do that and to obviously have a bit of talent to get as far as I'd got. So that was nice, where you kind of realize actually some of the sacrifices and the hard work and missing certain things that, I'll never get back that first year Christmas ball. But what I have had out of the sport, what I did have, and it helped me get through university where, a lot of people sometimes, kind of fall off the rails or, find other things. I found other things at certain times, but kind of found that, getting a few, cheeky international trips was worth it in the long run.
Definitely. Borrowed ways of balls.
Yeah. And you'll hear that on every time somebody that's worth talking to is on a podcast, and say anyone that's successful in anything, it's always the hard work, it's the hard work, it's the hard work. It's never the talent they speak about. It's the sacrifices they've made. And I'd imagine, at a guess, you've seen better runners than you not achieve what you've achieved because they went not so much went to the ball physically, but they chose the ball. They chose different stuff over the hard work.
Oh, massively. No, you've hit the nail on the head, and actually had a few people go to university before me that actually served as kind of like role models to not follow. And I kind of sometimes think that, you kind of like, you see other people maybe fall down the trap. And I kind of felt a bit of responsibility being a national champ as a junior. I actually felt a pressure to not be one of those that didn't make it. And so part of my driver was the fear of failure, the fear of being, one of those talented juniors that never made it to senior level. And actually, again, I'm glad I had a bit of success as a junior, because it actually fueled me to actually kind of like, actually not prove people wrong, but kind of like make sure that I didn't become a statistic, and make sure it was just a rung on my ladder, as opposed to some people think, success as junior, that they've reached it, they've done it, they've made it, and they dine off that for years. To me, it was actually the opposite. It was actually, damn, I've had a little bit of success. If I don't keep working, I don't keep my head down, I don't want to be one of those people that ends up kind of regretting it and ends up not fulfilling my potential. One thing I always wanted to do was make sure that, especially I remember being conscious in those races around that time that I wanted to make sure that I gave a good account of myself, or in races I could win, gave myself a chance to win in those races. And I just think, a little bit of fear of not making it. And again, it's that looking back, and I think that, I didn't teach myself that just kind of came part of my personality. And, maybe I just read the room at the time that, I just didn't want to be one of those negative statistics. So I saw so many more talented runners that I think that, going to my career highlight, I made, world champs finals, European champs, Commonwealth Games. There were runners that were so much better than I was, that they could have, I look back and they could have been Olympians, they could have been world medalists, if maybe they'd had the same application. But there's a lot of ifs and buts. The only person I knew that I could control was myself.
Yeah, and you speak so much during a year again, so you're spitting out quotes today. I didn't anticipate that, but running is always, everyone says it's you against you, it's you against you, all the inspirational stuff you see on Instagram. And you mentioned proving it, you didn't want to prove everyone wrong, but it's almost like you're proving yourself right as well.
Yeah.
If I do all this, and I can only imagine it's led into your coaching career and your broadcasting career as well, and you've built up these habits that mean that I've got to be the best broadcaster I can be. I've got to be the best coach I can be as well. Yeah,
you've hit the absolute nail on the head. The best example, you've got it. You're on it tonight. The best example I can give you of that, again, kind of learning that through process is, I was one of the first young athletes to go onto National Lottery funding. That's how old I am. And I remember getting a letter through the post. I towards the turn of the year 2000, and the letter basically said you have world-class potential. I remember literally feeling like I was a foot taller. Basically, this letter, and that's when we used to get letters, was basically saying that we're going to fund you, we're going to give you some support. This was new. National Lottery was a new kind of funding stream, and this line stuck with me. You have world-class potential. Fast forward about 6-7 months, I'd finished 5th in the senior British champs that year, but I hadn't improved my time. It was the first year I hadn't improved my time. I'd had an illness. I'd torn my Achilles in the summer, very, very marginally, but enough to miss some training. And then basically the person that was in charge of funding had 2 spots for 3 people, and I was the one that missed out. And I remember thinking, shit, I'm now, so what, 6 months later, I'm not world class, so I don't have this world class potential. And I remember for a few months thinking, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to show you, and it was all negative energy. And it was always, and it was about like trying to fight the system and prove, and I actually suddenly woke up one day and was like, I need to prove myself right. And this is not about one person. They've got to make decisions. They had to go with and actually the people they picked on paper, I probably would have picked them as well. But again, the person that I could control was me, and the person that I kind of knew, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to let that go now. It wasn't even a lot of money. It wasn't even a lot of support. It was just that. And actually, just because they're saying that I don't have world-class potential, this letter says, they're taking that doesn't change.
And they've already told you have as well. So what's changed that?
That doesn't
if you
change.
hadn't had that letter in the first place, there's no beef.
Exactly. That doesn't change. That doesn't change that. It's only my perception of it changes. And actually, it was about a year later that I made the World Championships in Birmingham. And I remember seeing the set person on the stairs, and I remember giving them a wry smile, as if to say, I knew I was right. And those other 2 runners, again, a year down the line, neither of them were actually in the sport, and these were talented athletes. Or I think one of them definitely wasn't in the sport, but one of them was not producing what they should be. And again, that's just the reality of it. But I think that going back to whatever you're doing, whether that's coaching now, whether that's broadcasting, or anyone in their day-to-day lives, is like your energy has to be positive energy. And if that's focusing on yourself, being the best version of yourself, then that's what you've got to focus on. But and I've seen it, and I've tried to explain it to other athletes, because I've had athletes that have been on funding, taken off funding, people have been selected for teams, not selected for teams. And it's very, very easy to become bitter about the sport. And there's some bitter people around our sport that they think that what they're saying helps, or they think what they're doing helps. But I kind of think that, being negative and being I don't know, a kind of drawer of energy of other people. Yeah, I think there's far worse things out there. But yeah, put your big pants on and yeah, work hard and then see what happens.
Yeah, just fight back, innit? Like you say, it's you were the one that can change it.
Yeah.
So fight back.
Yeah, absolutely. But in the right way, I mean, that's the thing. I think you've got to have that belief and and sometimes actually, I think sometimes we're better when our back's against the walls and we've got to fight a bit and actually kind of like we actually find a bit more about ourselves when we have, we have a little bit of adversity. I know that with certain things that happened in my life that actually, when you look back, certain, and we're talking pretty major lifetime, things that happen that actually they shape us and how we respond then. And running should also be a positive thing and should be something enjoyable, and it should be a kind of really enjoyable thing rather than it being a negative, kind of like a kind of draw of all your energy.
Yeah, definitely. So when you had that funding pulled as well, I mean, the only other conversation we've had about funding was obviously with Jimmy Watkins, but with regards to funding and stuff like that, how else did you go into work as well then after uni, or what was the situation straight out to uni?
Yeah, so my degree, when I finished, I was kind of like most people, don't quite know what to do. I ended up in a call centre just for a little bit of cash down in the city centre of Cardiff. And I remember literally just, I was phoning people day to day, and actually it was a really good experience because I was cold calling people, selling them one week MasterCards. The next week I was selling forklift trucks. But seriously, there's a skill in phoning people.
I agree. I've done the call centre. I've sold mobile phones. I've sold loft insulation.
Yeah.
I couldn't do this now, and you couldn't do what you do with the microphone now without that grind.
Do you know what? It's a real skill that actually I tell people, and I'm always nice when people phone me cold calling because I know that
they're getting worse, though, James. They're getting worse.
But they don't pick who to phone. It's a random list. So I'm always, can you please take me off your mailing list? Thanks so much. Have a great day. Because I learned the art of talking to people. The art of bit of bullshitting, but also kind of like it was go early mornings or whatever it was until 5 o'clock. But I ran every lunch break. I made sure, and my colleagues couldn't believe that sometimes I'd covered almost 10 miles in my 60-minute lunch break, and I was sat there scoffing my lunch in their time, not my time. Because I maximised my running time in my lunch break. But so I did that, and this was 2002, the end of 2002, and I went out and did a race in Bermuda in January of that year. So basically went out and I won the race in Bermuda, and I won as much money in that race in Bermuda as I'd earned for 3 months in the call centre. So you can imagine that I never went back to the call centre, and actually I went straight from Bermuda to New York, and I won another big race over there and doubled my money. And so I said, well, I'm never going back. And then it was about, was it enough money to pay the rent? Was it enough money to pay the bills? And that was the rest. That was the rest of my professional journey in running. Then for the next few years was racing and paying bills. And people often look back and say, why did you race so much? And why did you go everywhere? I went to every continent, every country, every race. And it was to pay the bills, but it was also to have an amazing experience. I mean, I did, series in Bermuda, in Brazil, all over America, and what I made sure I did, that I met people and talked to people and made friends with people. And I often use the elevator analogy where, I was going up the elevator and, I got to 4th place in the world champs, but I also on my stops made sure that I connected with people and talked to people. Because what I found was that elevator to the top of, and I missed out on the Olympics by the end of my arm, and I missed out on a world medal by the same distance. That elevator, when you get to the top, comes down very fast because there are 5-6 people every year vying for those places. You're an injury and illness away from not being selected, and actually your time at the very top. Those that stay at the top, for me, are phenomenal because longevity at that real high end is just another level. But then that elevator will come down and comes down fast at certain times, and it stays a little bit consistent at certain times on floors. But on your way down, they're the people that if you had relationships and connected to people and made friends on the way up, they're the ones now that when I went out to New York for the marathon, they're the ones I'm having beers with, they're the ones I'm catching up with. But I know so many of my friends or so many internationals that basically were just so insular in that journey that they just didn't meet people or didn't connect, that at the end of their careers, they've almost got no kind of people or places to show with it. They've just got what they ended up achieving. And for some, that's a high level and they can be happy with it. For others, they probably missed out on some of those experiences.
Yeah, because the photo I used is in New York Athletic Club.
Yeah, that's
what you ran with this time as well, right?
Yeah, but I was back in the NYAC.
To put in for the connections there as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So story of that goes. So this is the randomness of meeting people on our travels. So 2002 summertime, before I went and did a bit of work in the call center, me and my wife went on a bit of a road trip around the US. So we went out, and I actually ran my first sub 4 minute mile in San Francisco at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I begged and borrowed to get into a track mile, and I ran my first sub 4 minute mile. So that was a pretty big landmark, pretty big thing to do. And then we hired a car and we drove up Highway 101 in California. And we stopped off at various places, but we headed to Coos Bay, which is the home of Prefontaine. And I did his memorial run in his hometown, which his mum and dad started the race. His mum and dad did the awards after. And I basically got to run around his hometown in Coos Bay, and it was a phenomenal experience. And then we went to Las Vegas, as you do, Vegas to New York, and I did the Fifth Avenue Road Mile at the end of this kind of road trip. And I was a fraction away from winning it. I ran 3:56, a 3:49 Kenyan, who became a good friend of mine, beat me that day. And I was sat literally next to the wife chatting after the race, and this guy came over and he's like, you're from the UK, aren't you? So I was like, yeah. And we were chatting, and he was from the UK, lived in New York, and he was like, so who sponsors you? I was like, I don't have a sponsor. He said, who coaches you? And I was like, I'm self-coached. And he was like, but you've just done this. And I told him where we'd been, the road trip we'd been on. He's like, right, you are coming out and running in New York in February. I'm going to get you a club. I don't know which club. And that's how New York Athletics Club came about. And then that was the race that I went from Bermuda, who I beat the guy that I beat who beat me in New York, the Kenyan guy, Leonard Macharu, in Bermuda. And Bermuda got me the race because I'd raced him in New York because I got close to Leonard. And then I went obviously to New York and wore their vests in New York. And that race you showed, that was the next year, but that was Madison Square Garden. And that's where their big race was every year, the Milrose Games in Madison Square Garden, which for a kid, like this sport, I never knew where it was going to take me. So I had a restaurant in New York that wouldn't let me pay for any drink or food. They basically sponsored me, called Coogan's. I had like a load of kind of these guys that were just fully rooting for us to succeed. And I was running for one of the biggest clubs in America. New York Athletics Club have a hotel overlooking Central Park, and a rich tradition of the likes of Al Alter and so many. Eamon Coughlin was their guy from the 80s, with his experts and on the indoor scene, and first master sub 4 as well for the mile. So much history, and to end up racing in Madison Square Garden and beyond, it was just a dream come true.
It's amazing, really.
Some unreal races.
Yeah, because as you probably know by now, I don't really do much research or anything. But it sounds like you've just made a life and a career out of backing yourself and some really good decisions, which is commendable, really, isn't it? That's probably not the right word, but it could have gone wrong.
Oh, it has gone wrong. That's the other thing. It has gone wrong at certain times. I mean, I get asked the question about, you coach a lot of athletes, but you were self-coach yourself. I mean, I had some really good coaches when I was younger. Don't get me wrong. You don't learn just, from no one passing on and being part, of some really good coaching. My situation ended up being that I did end up, for majority of my career looking after myself. But I think in hindsight, looking back, that there were times where I needed additional people in my corner, and I should have asked for more help. And there were times that I missed out on things that I probably should have been. I shouldn't have raced as much as I did. But again, if you're the master of your own destination and destiny, and no one's telling you to do something different, then yeah, I think in hindsight, I could have probably achieved a bit more. But I've got a good story to tell. From one year I ran Madison Square Garden and finished second in the Wanamaker Mile. I literally got a cab straight to JFK, and I flew back an hour and 20 minutes later, back overnight, and I made my way up to Sheffield for the British Indoor Champs 16 hours later, and I finished second in that. I made the British team, and I finished second in 2 races. I didn't win either, but I ended up on the back of the Sunday Times, where I was at various times traveling. And I remember saying at the time, I said, look, I might finish second, but I said, no one's interviewing the winners right now. If you've got a good story to tell, and you kind of you're willing to do something slightly different. I did a transatlantic, I did the same flight last week, and I'm knackered 9 days later. So I don't know how on earth I raced 16 hours. I literally can't get my head around how I race. It might be blagging myself into business class and then putting me with a glass of champagne, but that's another story.
Brilliant. But running a marathon from New York's a bit harder than a mile.
Oh man, I tell you what, the marathon, and you're going to chat to someone that ran an unbelievable marathon in Lily Partridge. It's the marathon. I mean, it's one of these things that I know, you say to people that, you learn a lot in a marathon build up, you learn a lot in a marathon, race itself. But, having run miles, and track races and, 10Ks, but I've done 3 marathons now. I did Snowdon twice, and now New York. And there's something different. There's something that is addictive about marathon running, and the pain and the level of fatigue you go through. I mean, I can't remember crying after any of my mile races. But every marathon, I've had a tear. I've literally felt like I've learned a lot about myself. And if you ever want a marathon that is absolutely bonkers but brilliantly organised and just an amazing experience, New York is just. I mean, it's a city that it speaks for itself anyway, just by the landmarks. But the marathon, I mean, people told me that getting to the start was a marathon and to worry about it, but I got to the start easily, and it was so well organised, so well put together, and I absolutely loved it. Other than I thought I'd love running in Central Park at the end, because I spent a lot of my life running around Central Park, but I remembered I only did it as training runs and pre-shakeout runs before big races. After 22 and a bit miles, Central Park was horrible. And I just wanted it to end, and I was so disappointed in myself, because I envisioned having this kind of this real moment with Central Park of going from a miler to marathon. I got there, I was like, when's this going to end? Crikey. And but I got the end. I got the medal here, so the big chunky medal. So I was quite vocal with people before, because I don't know, I wanted to kind of put a bit of pressure on myself. I did the British Masters mile record for 45 8 weeks before. So, but I kind of thought, right, I want to run sub 240, and I want to get top 10 in my age group. And it kept me honest and accountable to the training runs that I did in that time. And in a race that I needed to be competitive, I wanted to feel like I was in a race, even though you're not at the front end of the race as it's in the elite level. But and I came 5th in my age group and 2:38.42. So I'm happy, but I lost a few minutes at the end, so I now know I want to do another, which is painful, because I thought that I'd done with the marathon, but it's going to call me back. It's going to call me back again. I can't believe it.
Are you going after the rest?
They're painfully addictive. That's what I call them.
Too painfully addictive that I'm annoyed with myself. That I thought I might. Someone said, "Are you done with the marathon now?" I'm like, no, and I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. I'm not done with it.
New York is a tough one, isn't it? Like that second half. Those bridges are relentless, and the last 4 miles when you turn and you can see the First Avenue and Central Park. That's just a killer.
I know, but I honestly thought I'd get this boost, and I mean, I held it together pretty well, but I just and I can't believe how easy the first half felt. and how I kept telling myself, I need to slow down, I kept seeing fast masters.
I'll tell you,
I was
excited. Messaging in the group, and I was messaging John, and he was like, he's not still on. I was like, he's pacing for 2:32 here at halfway. He's like, he's going to blow up. He's going to blow up.
I know.
Like, he got off too quick.
I was like, oh man. But then I felt so good. And I was still on about 2:35 at 20 miles. And I was like, man, it's on. And then the light, the dashboard started to flicker. all the lights start coming on. And you're like, okay, this is now, I need to like get through this now.
Well, as everyone says, that's where it starts.
Oh, it does. But I'm super excited because I only had 8 weeks. I had an accelerated marathon program. I mean, 9 weeks before I've had sub 2 minutes for 800, which is the first Welsh 45 to do that. So I'm kind of like throwing it through curveballs at what you should be doing. So I'm actually kind of excited if I did longer than an 8-week block that what I could do. But and I fitted in Cardiff Half, which is a wicked race. I fitted in the Gwent League road relays in that time as well. So I had a nice build up doing a few little races, but a marathon, maybe an even flatter marathon with a flat last section. I mean, maybe there's a few more minutes to shave off.
Definitely.
It's never over, is it?
No, it's not. No. It's not. But my age will keep going up. That's the only problem. Old Father Time wait for no one.
That's the only factor against us.
I feel like there's so much, like, we need to have you on once a week to cover your entire running.
No, isn't it?
Because we want to touch on the broadcasting and the coaching as well. So if we start with the coaching, I was on Power of 10 earlier looking for your times, because I do a little bit of research now and again.
You said you did no research.
Nicky was late.
He's a liar.
But it's got a list of everyone you coach.
Yeah.
And it's a lot.
Yeah.
How do you manage that as well?
I do and I don't. In terms of, again, I was having a chat with some uni students today that are kind of doing a bit of research into coaching environments and what sets our group aside from other groups. And I mean, we're lucky with endurance that you can't have 50 people run down a runway of the pole vault and try and take off at the same time. I'd pay to watch that, but it's not possible. And the same with the training session tonight. We've always gone with a group mentality. It's an individual sport, but I'm again trying to make sense of what you end up and what you create. And maybe I've become the coach that I would have wanted when I was younger and didn't, or had that period where I needed a coach. And maybe I've created a group that is the group that I would have loved to have been part of. That is all inclusive, but it has an ability for you to hopefully get to the level that you want to get to. And different people need different help. Different people want different help. And, I try and adapt my coaching style around that. It is very difficult, and I appreciate, and to athletes that I can't always give them as much attention as they deserve. But then I'd like to think that they come on board and they know what we are, what we do. And I say we because it's a collective we. We are a group together. And hopefully, often as a coach, athletes get to a certain level where you're an advisor, a sounding board. I'm not going to be at every race. I definitely am not going to be at every training session. But, you're a voice of reason. You're there often to tell them to back off and to be smart, because everyone can do too much. And I know that my own self, that, it's very easy to just do too much and think you're going to get better. Sometimes a coach is just a voice in the ear of, look, back off, or you're doing great. You don't need to push too much now. We need to be smart. The coach is maybe there just to give them accountability to those races, those goals I talked about that I still set for myself, but to say them out loud and to put them on paper, and to kind of have a collective, right, we are aiming towards, X and Y. And I think that's over the years is, what I've learned through athletes, that when I first coached at university in 2009, I was coaching the athletes that no one would coach, didn't have coaches. And we kind of learned through, I always say thank you to those athletes. I learned through them how to coach.
Yeah.
You learn on the job as well. You learn through people and you learn what works. You often have to push to a level that people don't always perform how they're going to perform, because you don't know what people are capable of until you either get to that level or go beyond it. And that's part of the challenge, is just getting to that part of of the push that is enough to get all the benefits without going over the edge. And it's a communication. It's two ways. It's them trusting and believing in me, and me vice versa. It's that communication between us. But yeah, hopefully, over the years, we've had some really big successes, some good successes. There's much more to come. But some of the successes have been where people have come in as, they wouldn't even class themselves as, a high standard or a standard runner. And they've done things that they've, has blown them away and surprised them what they've achieved. And also I'd love to see where people are going to get in the future. And some of them have met their future partners by being part of the group and gone out and got scholarships to the US. Some of them are in coaching now themselves, and they've got their own coaching groups. And so it's seeing where it's a lifelong kind of experience in the sport. And what I'd like them to get from our group is continue that love of the sport, get what they need out of the group, and if it's then to pass it on to someone else, then fantastic. Then but everyone's slightly different, and that's the challenge as a coach.
Yeah, we've spoke quite a lot, Nick, haven't we? Because from the non-academic side of it, we've seen a massive switch, more in triathlon, really, from my stake in the local area. A lot more youngsters are dropping the beers and taking up endurance sport now.
Yeah.
Can you see that from the academic side of it? Are your groups getting bigger, or what's the change? What's happening?
I think culturally we're changing right now. And, again, I don't know whether we expected a bit of a kick-off after, or, a kick-on after lockdown, because everyone was jogging, everyone was running, but there was a lull. Yeah. There was another drop after. And there wasn't the sudden rise in, social running clubs, or races were not hitting numbers. Suddenly now, a couple of years later, it's a running boom. It's an explosion. Running clubs have got, they are getting numbers beyond belief. Podcasts are so popular right now, and people love talking about running, which is it's popular to be part of running clubs, and it's fashionable now to wear running kit. And that's the same with it filters down or filters up, depends how you look at it. That my daughter's starting her running journey. She's 13, and she follows so many runners and organizations and things running wise, and on her feed she's telling me stuff that's happening, and it's popular even at 13 now. So those coming through the university age again, it's just part of, I think you're absolutely right, people are putting down beers. It's less popular to go out and get hammered, and fitness is definitely moving on now in terms of our psyche. But I don't think it's just exclusive to one age group. I think maybe we're just shifting. And maybe I think the hangover, to use a finer word, from lockdown, where we want to be outside, we want to be part of mass events. We never want to go back to that being restricted business of one exercise token a day, or not being able to go and run with your mates. It was ridiculous. But I do think right now, and I'd love it to continue, this running boom. But what we shouldn't do is, there was a running boom in the 80s that got taken for granted a bit, and then it fell off. That I think us, and I say the collective, us, and that we need to make sure that we keep running to the forefront. We keep opportunities, and we make things, accessible and cool and interesting. And even running shoes right now, the technology into them, and people love that. People love having technology and the accessories and the fashion items. And I can't believe running's fashionable right now. I'm gonna have to pinch myself.
You made it fashionable, James. I've seen your necklaces. I've seen your mullets.
Yeah, I was ahead of my time with that. Jeez, the picture you posted, I was like, I love that one, because A, I know I'm running in Madison Square Garden, and B, I've got my long blonde peroxide hair. So one for the ages, the mullet for the ages.
Absolutely. But no, I think fashion is playing like a bigger part in running than it probably gets credit for as well. I nearly bought the new all black Alpha Flies to wear with jeans the other day.
Love that.
Ridiculous. But it is leisure wear, and jeans are going in the bins and everyone. But it's getting more and more expensive. But that's because everyone wants it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's not cheap. Not cheap to be. I remember running shoes thinking X amount was expensive. Times that by 3 or 4 now, and you're somewhere towards the ballpark. But you know what? If that gets people out the doors, if that makes people want to be part of something, I always think sometimes you can undersell something, and something so cheap that people don't want to be part of it. I'm not saying we should price people out. Absolutely not. And actually, any pair of shoes, any part run is like phenomenal for that, isn't it? Where you can literally roll up. It's free.
Yeah.
It's accessible to everyone. There's a location pretty much within touching distance of most people. But then I do think there's a nice element where, those people that want to be, and everything's technology driven now, and everything's a little bit about it being a bit shiny and a bit cool. So I think if there's a bit of both, that it is totally accessible to everyone, but there is a cool, fashionable element to it as well, then we're capturing every market. And yeah, I'm definitely seeing that at university, definitely seeing an interest in running and the rise of things like trail running and ultra running and road running, and even cross-country running as well. Cross-country running is almost cool as well, which again, I never thought I'd see the day.
No, it is. It's getting big. Cardiff Half has just sold out in a couple of days. Copenhagen sold out in hours. So yeah, it's getting bigger and bigger. It's about maintaining that now, really, and not having that level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got to maintain it, and I think people again are travelling, far and wide. And I mean, when you get to a certain age, ourselves, me and my family, we used going to New York as a wicked holiday, and a kind of experience for the kids over half term. We went up to Niagara Falls. We did Toronto. Yeah. We did Halloween, trick-or-treating in Brooklyn. And it was an amazing experience. And again, my daughter got to race in Central Park the week before. And so she got a really great experience from it as well. And I think that's the thing, if you could travel and, I do the commentary in Copenhagen, and what a city. You can cycle around it. You can be on the river. You can be literally there's something for everyone: food, drink, music. And then the other amazing places. I know Valencia's big on people's lists. Whether it's Prague, whether it's Seville, whether it's Madrid, there's so many amazing places just in Europe that you can get to, not that expensive. There's 10Ks, half marathons. If you go marathon again, there's something for everyone. And there's kids races at most of these events as well, where get your kids out there as well, and what an experience for them.
That's a great, I've done it over the years, travelling to places. I love it, going abroad and racing. I find it, like I say, we always make a holiday of it. It's like everyone feels involved, and you don't feel as selfish for having done all the training and put yourself to one side. When you take the family away then, and everyone gets to enjoy that weekend or week, everyone's part of it.
Totally agree, and we've done that as a family with the Masters on the track. So we've gone to locations that you wouldn't necessarily go to certain locations. We went to Stockholm in Sweden in the summer, Gothenburg. We're talking about Gothenburg in the summer, we went to different locations, Budapest, and to various locations, Toruń in Poland. But again, what great experiences! And again, I'm just lucky again in terms of running at an age where my kids still get to watch me race, get to watch me run. And also I quite like showing the group that I still, and they loved it. They were tracking me in the marathon, the messages from them after. But I mean, again, it just shows them if I'm going to practice what I preach in terms of it's about performance, about yourself. But then when your journey to that level of performance dips, that's not the time just to stop. Running is for however long and wherever you want it to take you. And, I think that if I can show that to the runners that, I was lucky enough to compete at almost the very, very highest level, but I'm having as much fun now as I was, 20 odd years ago. So, just a little bit slower.
Not much.
A little bit.
Yeah, you mentioned Copenhagen, and Nikki was very jealous before we get on to your broadcasting. But it's like 3 degrees of separation now, Nick. Anyway, now you're talking to James. It's basically the same as talking to Jakob as well.
It's literally, there's the connection right there.
Yeah. But how did you get into the broadcasting side of everything as well, then? Because again, same as everything else, you seem a natural at it as well.
Oh, very kind of you. So I was competitions manager from 2009 at Welsh Athletics, and commentary and events, there's not a massive pool of people that were doing it. And I got to a point where I was putting events on. I thought, well, I might as well just do a bit of commentary myself. And that's the best thing, again, a bit like coaching. You learn from doing. There's so many events out there. And actually, some of the, even, say, national junior leagues, they need people to announce They need people to add value and add information to the event. And so I started doing it in my own events. So there was no pressure. I had a bit of fun. And then there was a comment. I got back from the Commonwealth Games in 2010, and there was a commentary course put on by British Athletics that I went to. Me and Matt Ward, and Matt does a lot of the stuff for Welsh Athletics as well, and he's utterly brilliant. Me and him were at the same course. And I remember getting an email a few weeks later from British Athletics saying, look, we'd like to offer you the chance to commentate the Inter-Counties cross country. I remember thinking there's 7,000 people there. I haven't really done a lot. I've obviously done a lot in my events. I remember speaking to my wife saying, should I do it? She went, look, go and bloody do it, because you're either obviously love it or you'll hate it, or but at least you'll know whether you want to do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, I'll go and do it. And this year I think will mark the 14th or 15th year of doing the Inter-Counties cross country champs in March. Absolutely loved it. And then I think it was about a year later, Steve Brace at Welsh Athletics was my line manager. He couldn't do a Eurosport gig on a weekend, and he was doing a bit of Eurosport work for them. And I remember him saying, I'll put your name forward to them. And they phoned me saying, oh, yeah, we'd love you to come and do it, James. Steve's vouched for you. And again, it's a bit of luck in terms of who you know and being given that chance. So I'm not saying that, I haven't been given some really lucky golden eggs, but I'd like to think you're obviously judged on then how you do and if you enjoy it. And again, I ended up, and I can't remember whether my first gig, I'm not sure whether it was New York City Marathon. It may have been New York City Marathon for Eurosport. I should know that, but I can't remember. And again, I think it maybe was, and I think that that was maybe 2011 or 2012. And again, given that opportunity, taking that opportunity, and then just taking some. I don't know. I've been very, very lucky opportunities where people have asked me to be, they're live commentator at events, TV, radio, pre-record for some stuff. Obviously recording stuff post race as well. So. Yeah, again, it's been an amazing experience. And that one you talked about, Nicky, where, Jakob got parachuted in last minute to Copenhagen. The media circus went through the roof.
I was going to say that must have been just mental. Everything changed.
But you know what? Being a fan of the sport and just seeing this guy that's like a rock and roll star wade his way in from, the Diamond League final on the Friday night. And do you know what? Talking to him after, he was just an absolute gent. And he was really humble for someone that comes across so confident, so cocky. I think to run at the level he does, you need to have that level of confidence. But he was, I hope it came across in the interview. Just before the interview, he showed me his watch and he's like, look, it says that's my longest ever run. And he was actually like showing me like, oh, look at this, and I was like, wow, it says your longest ever run. I was thinking, this is Jakob. He's run 7:17 this year for 3,000, Olympic champion, and he was excited to show me that was his longest run on his watch. And then chatting to him after, again, putting the race into words, and the fact he finished as well. Again, for runners of any level, when you blow in a half marathon, you blow in a race. For his level, it would have been really easy to have stepped off and said, broken the Norwegian 10,000 meter record. I raced on Friday night, I'm tired. He finished and he got beaten by a lot of people that should never beat Jakob. No. And I thought, you know what? I've got a load more respect for you that I had a ridiculous amount before you, but I was unsure of him as a little bit as a person. He went totally up in my estimations after of being an absolute legend, superstar in the sport.
Yeah, like he's sort of a Marmite sort of person, isn't he? A lot of people don't like the way he is and how confident and arrogant he comes across. But then, as you say, to be at his level, he's got to believe he's the best. Otherwise, what's he there for?
Yeah, that going back to that longevity or how hard that top level is, and I probably got to the foot of that mountain and then saw how big the final climb is, and he's at the pinnacle of it. And I think that. And don't forget the amount of noise, the amount of people, the amount of pressure. It's a level that we could probably only dream of, or for many of us, even if we got there, we wouldn't want it. And also just the media microscope that he's under. I just think again, just to think you're going to step out and try and break the world record for half marathon against, the world half marathon champion, the world half marathon record holder. We're not talking about a run round your local half marathon for bells and whistles and cheers, which he easily could have done. This was literally going against the heavyweight. So it's literally, you've won everything at your weight in boxing. And rather than literally take a step out, you're literally stepping straight into the next weight category and you're swinging punches. But then I said, to be a bit humble after, I think I take my hat off and think, do you know what? You're something very, very special. I don't think we will see many talents like that in our lifetime. And I actually almost don't think he gets the, the kind of kudos or the kind of credit that he deserves, almost because I don't know what it is. It's just, you're right, because he is Marmite. He's not everyone's cup of tea. But he's something very special.
He is, and like you said, I speak to the boys about it a lot, and like, what I love about him as well, he always racing. He's like you obviously sound back in the day. He turns up every week, week in, week out, every big race, any meet, he's there, and he's there to win every time.
Yeah, every surface, any time of year. Yeah. He is a throwback to old school in that respect.
He is.
And again, but you look at what he has achieved, and people sometimes think too much about the losses and the 1500s that he hasn't won. They're forgetting how easily he won the 5,000 meters. If he was just running 5,000, we'd just be going, wow. But then he does that to
dilutes it a bit. Yeah, exactly.
He dilutes himself, but he's doing that as a challenge because he knows that's the hard one for him to win. He actually could have probably, I think, won the 10,000 meters as easy as he won the 5,000. I think if he'd have won the 10,000 at Paris, he'd have won that as well. But it's almost like he doesn't want the easy route.
No.
And that's why he's doing the half marathon against the very best. That it'd be easy just to tow around and run a nice 60-61 local race somewhere. But no, he doesn't want that. He wants to go above and beyond. I think runners like that or personalities like that they set themselves aside. And I don't think we will realise quite how great Jakob is until a few years' time when he hangs those spikes up and he's no longer on the start line.
Agree.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've been lucky enough as well this year. It's mad, really, the opportunities we've had, and we've done a bit of comms as well. What do you think of Nicky's ability behind the mic?
I'm absolutely loving it in terms of the new voices. I think your energy is up there with the absolute necessities needed in commentary and also just being part of events. And we love seeing you guys at Tonopani Track Classic. That again, was just another
that was
kind
a brilliant
of add-on to the summer. So we're going to need commentary and media teams for that because we're looking at something big in 2025.
We'll be there. James Hennigan's got on some speed dial.
I love it. Hens is on the ball with that. I've got no issues
he is,
with that.
He loves it.
He is. What a guy. What a lovely guy as well. He's always in our DMs checking in on us as well.
Yeah, he's a top boy. I mean, has he told you he's a doctor?
He has mentioned it, yeah.
No, I know how hard he works. I know how hard he is to train.
That's the group joke. But no, Hens is one of these people that he's infectious. Not in that way, not in a doctor needing way, but in a good way, running wise. So he's someone that I've absolutely loved helping. I mean, we've had supreme highs, making European cross country teams, winning British University champs, and we've had some lows as well where the bottom's fallen out at certain times. And I love the fact he utterly believes what we're doing, and it never wavers. And it's about how we're going to solve the issues or the setbacks. And they're the gems that I've been lucky enough to coach a few of those where it's not a blame culture, it's not looking elsewhere, it's not kind of it's how we are going to come back from this, and the story and the and the tell and the comeback is going to be a far greater tale. And again, there's a few of them that I can look back on my running career, and I absolutely thank them for that because I don't get it right all the time. They don't get it right all the time, but they know that between us that we're, I'm in their corner fighting for them. I know they're out there, when they are racing, that they're giving it 110%, if that is possible. And we're going to get there, wherever that is. And we've got no idea where you end up and where the end, destination is. But we're going to give it a really good go in finding out.
Yeah, absolutely. I was speaking to Ennigan the other day after he was out running with Jake. I said, Jake's been showing you the ropes again, has he? And he said, I'm getting bigger, strong as well. I just don't have to plaster it all over my social media. I said, no, but Jake hasn't got that NHS pension to look forward to, has he? So he needs to do it as well.
Absolutely true. Yeah, nothing like a bit of social media posts, but yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, yeah, get those positive messages out there because yeah, again, that younger generation, they need to know. I think James is a great example of balancing university studies, balancing what is a really demanding job, but then he hit one of his lifetime goals in the summer at the Fast 5000 where he was chasing down Jake in Paris.
Yeah.
Running sub 14 minutes and. He again when he ran sub 4 minute, for the first time for the mile, that was a huge moment for him as well. And there's things like that where if you can balance life, because not everyone has the luxury of being a full-time athlete.
No.
You chat with the likes of John Butler, got busy lives, but again, where those goals are. Someone hit a really great goal at the weekend. Matt Verrin hit sub 15 for the first time.
We spoke about that before you came on, and he's been working really, really hard for that. He's
been working really, really hard, and those goals, wherever they are for you, and 15 minutes for him was a massive one. And when I first started helping him, there were times where some of the races he was running, struggling to break 16 minutes. And he's stuck to his guns, and he's listened to the advice and the structure of training I've given him. And we've had some setbacks; hasn't always gone in a linear line. And when he nailed it on Saturday, they're the ones that are coached that make you smile. They're the ones that go, I maybe I do know what I'm talking about. And to see Matt, see Matt's response, and he does love that game.
He does. And he has got PB socks. They do give you PBs, the new socks.
PB socks, I love that. PB socks, absolutely
excellent. I say every time we get someone on, it feels like you've only scratched the surface, but we've covered so much. You are a lot wiser than some of our guests we've had previously. But
is that high bar, low bar?
I don't know.
I'm joking. I know you've had on. That's a high bar. Thank you.
It is. We'll take a quick break and then we'll come back. Some this or that, a couple of staple questions, and then Nicky needs to get out for his run as well.
Oh, you haven't run yet, Nicky? Crikey, that's dedication.
No,
to
I
the cause.
I was working till 7, so quickly into the hotel, changed, ready to go. Look, I got to get out and do 10 miles now.
Oh, where are you? Hotel?
Yeah, I'm up in Greenock in Glasgow working. I got to go and...
That'd be a cold run up there then.
It's been freezing all day, so yeah, I got a jacket ready to put on, don't worry.
Right. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've got James for a little bit longer. Nicky needs to get out and do his run. So do you want to shoot this or that out, Nick?
Yeah, again, thanks, James, for your time. So we'll quickly whiz through these now and some questions. First up, indoor or outdoor?
Everyone knows the answer to this. Indoors. I loved running indoors on an indoor athletics track. There was something about the bends, the noise, and my success mostly came indoors. So give me indoors any day.
Yeah, was that because it's shorter laps as well? It's just easier.
I don't know. It's just I love the hustle and bustle of indoor racing, just the laps do come quicker. When you look at places like Madison Square Garden, the Armory in New York, they were just some cool locations. So
iconic as well.
Yeah, and I finished 4th in the World Champs, so I've got to say indoors.
Mile or marathon?
Oh well. We talked about that obviously in the chat, that for learning about yourself, learning about kind of like your limits, the marathon is something else. But do you know what? The mile was what paid my bills and what made my name. So do you know what? I think, but hey, in 8 weeks you can do both. So why not have them both?
Yeah. So why not both? Fair enough. Coaching or competing?
Great question. And I've said this to a few people, that the buzz you get from coaching, again, maybe our discussions about what you know you can do and that belief in yourself. When it went well for myself when I ran, I gave myself obviously huge credit, huge pat on the back, but it was almost like confirmation of what I knew I could do. When I get an athlete and I help someone achieve something, say Matt's sub 15 minutes on Saturday, that maybe he thought he could do, but maybe there was a bit of doubt. And I've helped him achieve that I know is a lifelong goal of his. That to me is massive. And I said that the change and influence on some people's lives that they've gone on to said, meet the people they end up spending the rest of their lives together through improving through our training group. That buzz that I get as a coach, you just can't replicate that as a runner. So yeah, coaching all day long.
Yeah, good answer. I like that. So with your spikes, socks or no socks?
Again, that's a great question. Back in the day, I was always sockless. I love the feeling of running in spikes with no socks. But the smell of my spikes, oh my God! I remember literally like people would, because I'd carry them on flights because I'd never put them in the hold luggage.
Yeah, I don't. Same when I go to my marathons, they go in my hand luggage, your chest.
But like the smell, it was like cheese times by 1,000. But actually,
just naming other people on the plane. Go, yes, what is that smell?
Yeah, what is that smell? But as I've got old, for some reason, the spikes I've worn recently, I've worn them with socks. I don't know whether I've regressed back to wearing socks now, so for comfort. But maybe I don't want my spikes to like, I don't know, smell the house out. So yeah, so I've gone back to socks, but yeah, maybe I'll go back to sockless again. Who knows?
Brilliant. Last one. This is a yes or no. So can you get Jakob on for us?
Can I get Jakob? He's not in my DMs. He's not in my phone list. But do you know what? When I next see him, I will mention your podcast to him and just say, look, this is one you've got to get on. So apparently Niels Laros at the weekend was playing Paul down at the Woodville in Cardiff.
Was he?
Yeah.
So, I seen he was, yeah.
So, do you know what? He would have been, he was game for anything, I think, on Saturday in Cardiff. So, maybe there's a missed opportunity there. But, yeah.
Yeah, that was mad that he was there. I was up here working. I was meant to race, but obviously I'd been up here working for 3 weeks.
Yeah, the boys beat them in Paul. They were claiming that they're now fifth in the Olympic Games because they beat them at game of Paul.
Yeah.
I was explaining that different sports
they're saying,
we're quicker than 29 now for 1500. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. So it's like chess. It's not like the school chessboard where if you beat someone, you jump in that position. So maybe he's a possibility. But yeah, wouldn't that be great? Let's get Jakob on. Let's speak to his people. Let's speak to your people.
Yeah,
to get him on the runs and maybe get him in a pair of socks. Get him racing.
I know you're busy up in Sierra Nevada on that hill, but get on
the pod. So never say never. The world is strange.
No.
Yeah.
We keep aiming high.
Yeah, aim high.
We didn't we wouldn't have anticipated having you on by the end of the year, really.
No.
So we're already working.
I was always nailed up. Come on.
Right, let's have a look. I've got 2 questions, and then the rest are a bit of nonsense from your athletes.
Yeah, don't listen to them.
So, what's your most... That's bad English, that is, Carly Cole. What's your most favourite outdoor race you've competed in? We can get rid of most. What's your favourite outdoor race you've competed in?
Love Carly. So, I mean, it's got to be TCS New York City Marathon now. Favourite outdoor one. I mean, yeah, that is up there now for just the extended noise, the experience. I think going back to outdoor races in the past, going back to that one in Bermuda was such fun. A road mile on the front street of Bermuda. And one of the young athletes watching it was inspired enough to now be coached by me, Dage Miners. So, and he was over in Cardiff training again. So, inspiring people when they're younger who you now coach. That's a way to make
amazing.
That also makes you feel old, guy, as well. So, but someone asked me the other day, what's also my other favorite race? I did a front street mile in Hawaii, in Maui. And the finish of the race finished in the, you didn't finish in the sea, but you finished the race and you went straight to the sea. And the race organizer gave you a beer. I think every race you should finish in the sea with a beer. Is high on the list of cool races.
I think once you finish running, racing, coaching, and broadcasting, there's an autobiography that needs to be written.
I've thought
or your memoir.
I've got a title of it as well, but the Death of the Travelling Runner. But I'm still alive, so it'll have to be published when I die, I think.
What's your favourite session to run and your favourite to set for your athletes if they are different?
Oh, that's a great question. And it's I think the hardest session I used to do, and they do it sometimes, and it was one that used to test me, and I always used to know that I was getting ready for something. And it's 70 or 75 seconds on a hill. I used to do mine over by Castle Cock. So beautiful setting. beautiful location. It was in the forest there. So it's a bit of a trail hill. You run about, and I used to cover about 400 meters in that time. And then the jog down recovery, you jog down for a 3-minute cycle. And you can do 8 minutes, which is 26 minutes, 30 minutes is 10 hills. I used to go up to 15 hills, so 45 minutes of hills. And I used to describe it as basically hitting my legs with a baseball bat for 45 minutes. And your legs, and I called it a legs and lungs session. So basically your lungs were screaming. Not saying it was my most enjoyable, but I knew that when I did that I test myself to a level that I needed to get to in racing. My athletes still do it now. They know it well. And again, whether you're getting ready for, a mile on the track, whether you're getting ready for a marathon, hills pay the bills. So it's a great session.
You do.
And on that 3-minute cycle, you keep it continuous. So we kind of call it Kenyan hills because there's no rest in terms of you're keeping it on a kind of honest kind of cycle. You can do it anywhere, any hill you've got, whether you're in Glasgow, whether you're in a sunny location, a muddy location. It can be done literally anywhere. But it's a great one for testing you mentally and physically.
Right. Now we've got a couple about your quads. Bishy wants to know who's got the nicest thighs in the club, you or Adam Bull?
So, Bullies are probably nicer, but mine are faster. But Billy knows that because I outkicked him in the Welsh Road relays, and there's a photograph of me and probably about 30 meters behind him with 100 meters to go. And I remember outkicking him, and I remember the banter on the Tuesday night and at club session. And I told him the only reason I outkicked him was for that reason, that I knew I'd better give it some bants at the club session, and then I outkicked him in the club session as well, just just for an insult to illness. But he's a top boy, Bully. Got a lot of time for him, but his quads are definitely longer and more sustainable, but mine are quicker.
And he has continued the mullet into this century for you.
The mullet, he just needs to dye it blonde, peroxide blonde, and I feel like I've
necklaces.
Exactly, I've influenced someone else, and then then my work is done here.
Oh, how do you have such ginormous quads?
Oh, do you know what? Again, I've been asked that a few times. I used to play a lot of football when I was younger. I remember playing football for my school on a Saturday, and then on the club, I played football on a Sunday morning for one club, and then I go and play football for another club on a Sunday afternoon. And I got a feeling my quads started to get big around that time because I was playing so much football. But I haven't played football in like 30 years. So you'd think that in that time, maybe in that time that they would have thinned out a bit. I keep thinking when I went to marathon that, and I got old. Because when you get old, you're meant to lose muscle mass. So I was getting excited to get old because I might thin out my quads a bit. No, they're still there. So I don't know. They must be filled with beer or something. Because
must be.
Or, I don't know, or conkers or something. Because like they're still there, but they're not disappearing. So I've not been in a weights room, honestly, I kid you not, for 4 or 5 years properly. But they're still there. Maybe my Team Thie circuits on a Monday night. Maybe they're maintaining a little bit of quads consistency. So again, anyone's welcome. Bit of a bit of advertisement for my free online circuits every Monday. We've been going since COVID. We're coming up to our 5th birthday, 190th episode on Monday just gone, and I still have. I think it's around 200 people in a week or over a couple of weeks still log on and do these circuits, which for me is bonkers. I set out to do circuits to help a few people out over lockdown and to help myself find a bit of routine and still coach, because I still wanted to coach and have an interaction with people when we were told we couldn't. If you'd told me 5 years on, I'd still be doing it on a Monday. I had no expectation of that whatsoever. But hopefully, people have enjoyed it. As I said, it's no cost. It brings a bit of exercise to people's homes that need a bit of structure. So if that's my gift to society, then that's not a bad one.
I hate these ones because it comes from one of your athletes, but you're never quite sure who it is.
Name and shame who it is.
I know. James Hennigan wants to know who is the most annoying person to coach.
Do you know what? They're all annoying now. Different people are annoying at different times, and do you know what? They're not annoying. They keep me challenged.
Keep you on your toes.
Keep me on my toes, and when it's not going well for someone, I'm not annoying, but when there's a puzzle to be solved, they're the ones that keep me awake at night. They're the ones that my attention. When someone's running, I almost, they expect it, I expect it. We kind of plan for that, and so we don't take it for granted, but we just want to maintain it. But the ones that, and there's a couple tonight watching training tonight that I'm like, no, I'm not happy where they're at. I know something's not quite happening, whether it's fitness or it's illness, whether it's confidence, something needs solving. So they're annoying, have problems to solve, because I'd love everyone tonight in training to have flown around the session looking great, $1 million. I'm driving home just listening to the radio, but I'm driving home thinking, right, okay, I've got a few issues.
What's going on there?
What's going on? And they're the puzzles that now the next few days that I need to try and solve between me and them. So no one's that annoying yet.
Ben Claridge wants to know, what are your thoughts on one of your athletes going skiing for 3 months?
He knows my thought on that. But hey, Claridge he's a law to himself. He's the most talented guy in the world. You can literally, I reckon you could give him a violin, give him a couple of lessons, and he'd be in a Royal Orchestra in about 3-4 weeks. And he's the same with running. Here's a guy that came to me as a predominantly an entry guy. Within a few months, he was doing 2400s in 66 seconds off very short recovery. And I was watching it going, this is bonkers. And he ran a sub 4 minute mile in the summer, which that was one of his lifetime goals. And so to him to do that was like, yeah, that's amazing. He's on 46 seconds of 400 meters. And so it's ridiculous for 100 meters, and he can do that. But yeah, going skiing, as long as he doesn't snap his ankle or his knee, because he's still got so much potential to achieve. But but if he keeps the ski chalet, I haven't been skiing with the family yet, so give me the dates that it's available, and I'm heading out there. I've got a knee that I can risk now, which I would never risk until now, Mr. Claridge.
He better keep well, because he's on in January.
Yeah, get him on, defo.
And then it wouldn't be a Ponty Road and Tonopandi Track Classic show without a question from Tom Baird. Tom Baird was in the DMs last week saying I'd done him dirty with my photo of him from Richard Burton, but he finished 5th. I was like, what do you want me to do? Like, I asked you to smile, you didn't hear me.
Yeah.
It don't matter what your face is like if you're finishing 5th in Richard Burton, does it?
Does not matter whatsoever.
But he wants to know what it's like coaching Dr. Hennigan. But I think we've touched on that already. They all just pick on each other, don't they?
They are. They're picking on each other. No, Tom Burns, again, another great guy. Huge help. The pool of people that we have with the Tonopandi Track Classic. And, and obviously, the support of the rodents as well. Great club to be part of. Obviously, I tell you what, in Wales, there's so many good clubs right now. And there's a bit of competitiveness between us in terms of performance, in terms of numbers. I just think it's great to have opportunities, but also options for runners. No one runner should feel they've got to go to just the one club, and I think that's the exciting thing right now, that there's a bit of options out there. The rodents, I've missed the last couple of weeks going on a Tuesday. My marathon block was Tuesday night, me and Bully tearing it up, or Bully tearing it up and me closing down at the end. And absolutely, that really helped me. And people ask me again, it's a really nice experience for me as a coach that does so much, obviously, other stuff, that I was coaching my group on a Tuesday night, driving straight there, jumping out the car, jogging to the track, and I'd run around the track and ask people, what's the next rep? What's the session? I wouldn't even know what the session was. And for me, that's a really nice environment just to run,
absolutely,
to chat, to have a bit of fun, not overthink it. And to me, to just be part of a running experience that I haven't had to organise, I've not had to play any part of, other than just to run. That to me is a real nice. And the track that we train at Bencallog is on my way home. Again, in Rhondda Cynon Taf, to have 2 amazing tracks where I live. I can cycle to Bencallog in about 15 minutes, and Tonopandi in 25 minutes, 30 minutes cycling. To have 2 tracks like that are just beautiful tracks. In the summertime, both of them are phenomenal. Both in the winter, a little bit bleak. But a bleak winter's Tuesday night with the rodents, though, goes a lot faster than running around the streets on your own in Glasgow.
Yeah, 100%.
But you'll get it done on Tuesday night, Nick. Don't worry, you'll be fine.
I'll get it done. I'll get it done. Don't worry.
It done.
There's always time.
There is, and you'll feel better. You'll feel better after when it's done and dusted.
Definitely.
Our 2 staple questions now.
Go on, hit me.
One, what song are you adding to the Runs podcast playlist?
Oh, hey, what's the bar? Where are we going? Does it need to be
for training, I guess. Yeah. So I guess we'd put the playlist together for you to people to listen to when they're running.
Yeah. So I'd give you 2, but I think one would probably be a better one in the playlist. So my pre-race track was always "Get Free" by the Vines. That was and Jimmy Watkins and me went to see them a couple of times, and Craig Nichols and the Vines were awesome. Loved those back in the day. But I think a nice kind of tune, the Streets, Positive, or is it Stay Positive? That's the one I add to the playlist, because again, there's a few lyrics in there about, obviously, stacking your cards when you need to, backing yourself, staying positive, and there's a nice bit of a bit of sound to the Streets, I think. So yeah, that'd be my one to add to the playlist.
We'll add it. And who, which I want to see as a reality, would play James Thie in a movie of his life?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'd probably say it, but we go no, and obviously age-wise as well. So I think back in the day, I'd love old Mr. Brad Pitt to have played me. He's probably getting on a bit now. Maybe Ryan Gosling. I don't know, or I don't know who else. I'll try to think who else would be up there as people to play me. So yeah, I don't know.
Mark Wahlberg for the quads. He could be a quad double. Yeah.
A younger Mark Wahlberg. They're all older than me now.
Young Wahlberg.
So, yeah, a young Wahlberg or Pitt. Yeah, I'd be happy. That's maybe me pushing my numbers out a bit. But yeah, there's probably someone else that someone would probably like me to.
Yeah. Right, James. Thank you so much. Like I said, feels like you only ever scratch the surface on these, but I'm sure our paths will cross sooner rather than later again anyway. But that's been an absolute pleasure. Nick, do you want to wrap it up? Because you've got to get out.
Yeah. James, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate that. Coming back in from the cold straight to us. And yeah, that's it for us for another week. Well, no, it's not actually. We got Lily on Friday, who also done New York. So we'll be catching up with her. And yeah, cheers, James. We'll see you around soon. And everyone else, we'll see you on a start line somewhere soon.
Absolute pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me. And everyone's always welcome. My social running group on a Wednesday night as well. Bring Callum. If you want to get involved with that, everyone's welcome. So circuits on a Monday, track on a Wednesday, and I've got you covered, guys. Thanks again for having me.
Top man, James.